Hi, I'm Susan Brumbaugh, and I serve on the staff of St. John's as a mental health counselor. And I'm here today to share some tips, some ideas about how to take care of ourselves during these times. One thing I like to suggest to people is finding ways to structure your days. These days, it's so easy for one day to bleed into the next and to feel like we just have all of this time and not to know what to do with it. And so building in rhythms for our day, routines, things that we do on a daily basis that we can use as markers for getting through our days can be really helpful. Getting up at the same time every day, going to bed at the same time, eating meals at regular times. These signal to our bodies that we have some sense of control over what's happening. Sometimes we can get overwhelmed with all the possibilities of things we can do, or we can just be stuck in a rut and feel like we can't manage to do anything. And so in these days, I think it can be helpful to identify one thing that you'd like to accomplish during the day. And if you get that one thing done, then you've accomplished something. In addition to structure, I think it's important to focus on various aspects of our health. I talked about getting up at the same time and going to bed at the same time every day, making sure that we actually get enough sleep, trying not to stay up late just because we can or sleep in, but establishing patterns that are healthy and make sure that we're getting sufficient amounts of sleep. It's important to move our bodies, to not sit in the same position for hours on end, but to get up and move to whatever extent our bodies are capable. That might mean working out. It might mean just walking around the house a little bit. Could be going for a walk outside. And speaking of outside, getting sunlight and fresh air is important. Stepping outside your house, maybe to go get the mail, to sit in a chair in the backyard, or maybe even to go out for a walk and see other faces from a distance can be helpful. It's important to eat as well as we can manage during this time and to stay hydrated. So pay attention to the signals of your body and do what you can to maintain yourself in that way. A third area that I think is important is communication and connection. For those who are sharing a home with other people, we can sometimes get on each other's nerves, and it's important to have open communication about what's happening within our households, to be in connection with each other and find things that we can do together that help us to have a sense of connection and community. For those who are on their own, living alone, and even for those who do share space with others, it's important to reach out to those who are important to us, to connect with our friends and our family, to reach out to others in the church who we would normally be interacting with. As someone's name comes to mind, pick up the phone, call them, text them, email them, just find ways to reach out. It can potentially help them if they're feeling isolated, and it makes you feel connected. If you don't feel like you can reach out for them, perhaps just saying a prayer and bringing them to mind and heart can be a way to feel connected virtually, even if you're not physically speaking to them. And lastly, I recommend the concept of grace. It's important to have grace for ourselves during these difficult times, to not hold ourselves to an impossible standard for what we ought to be accomplishing with all this free time that we have. We don't have to read every book on our shelf. We don't have to tackle everything on our to-do list. Sometimes we need downtime. Sometimes we need to just feel scared and sad, to allow ourselves to have the emotions that we have when we have them and not feel like we shouldn't feel bad or that we should be doing this, that, or the other. So have grace for yourself during this time, but also have grace for others, realizing that we're all just doing the very best we can during this time. And when others out in the world that we either encounter or read about, to just give them the benefit of the doubt and have grace for them as well as we have grace for us. As you live through these days, we hope that you will let the staff know how we can support you during these times. I'm still meeting with clients in a virtual setting that looks very much like this. So my clients see me sitting in this chair with this quilt behind me. We can all do our best to meet your needs. So please let us know what would be helpful. God's grace and peace to you this Sunday morning, and take care.